Talk to Animals. My name is Shannon Cutts. I'm an animal intuitive and sensitive, aka an animal communicator with animal love languages. I'm also a Reiki master practitioner. Of course, you're not here to learn about me. You're really here to learn about this guy. Those of you who are watching can see my precious and perfect 23-year-old feathery sidekick, Pearl, on my shoulder. He never misses an episode, although he often darts out after the intro to go eat his breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on when we're recording these. So what is Let's Talk to Animals about? Let's Talk to Animals is about all things animal communication, interspecies communication, if you will, remembering that Homo sapiens, human beings are also animals, that we are more alike than different, that we are connected, we are a part of, we belong, we matter, we make a difference, we can have an impact. And all those messages that you think your pet is sending you, they really are. Here to talk about that, and never more so than when your pet is making their final transition, their end of life transition, which can be very quick. It can be very lengthy. Again, more alike than different. It's very much analogous to what we see in the human animal. And in fact, I just helped to shepherd my father home about 8 months ago at the time of this recording. And it was definitely the most profoundly impactful experience of my life, probably other than my birth. So, and so that's why I really wanted to, and I tell this one every day, Pearl, no matter how many hours there are in the day, there are never enough hours. No matter how many days that we have, no matter how many years that we have, there's never enough years, never enough time together. And so I've invited Monique Brignoni today to talk with us. She is a beautiful animal communicator, beautiful spirit. Welcome, Monique. I'm so grateful to have you today.
Thank you so much.
So happy to have you. We're going to be talking more specifically, of course, we're going to be talking in general, as we always do, sharing, Monique, sharing your story. How did you get started? But then we're going to really kind of hone in on this end of life process, end of life transition, how to prepare. I wrote a whole book called Love and Feathers, What a Palm-Sized Parrot Has Taught Me About health, happy, God, I'm can we say more coffee, please? Health, happiness, life, love, and healthy self-esteem. There you go. You can find it on Amazon. I know I can do it. I can remember my own book's tagline.
It's your book, right? Yeah. Okay.
Right. And Pearl was 15 at the time. I was on vacation in Cape Cod with my folks, and I was missing him so terribly that I wrote a whole book of our stories to make sure I never forgot a one. He's now 23. I could write a whole nother book of stories, and it still won't meet me in the middle. It won't fill the gap between when his physical body transitions and what remains is simply the spirit connection. We human beings have an awfully hard time with that. So Monique, I do want to start at the beginning, just briefly. I want to talk about, how you got into this work, how you learned that animal communication is even possible, because we have so many newbies that are listening, so many aspiring animal communicators. But then, let's talk about how we navigate that. And I know you have a new course that is launching quite soon, probably before this recording comes out, but I think it will turn into an evergreen offering because it's so impactful. And so let me just shut up. Not used, because nobody's here to listen to me.
Of course they are. It's your show. Come on.
Today it's yours. Yeah. So tell us, how did you get started? How did you even learn that animal communication was a thing?
Well, I started in the hard way, in the sense that I actually always knew that there was, I always had a big connection with animals, of course. But as a child, I'm not one of those people that remember that I used to communicate or that. I just completely don't remember that. But then I remember reading a book, Penelope Smith, and I decided, right, I buy it completely. I am going. So I took my passport. I think I was 18 at the time, so 1,000 years ago. And it just went there, and just before, because it was my first time in the States, I just said, oh, I'll go and do this thing and this other thing. And I ended up being in a weekend. I went to see a horse ranch where they were working with children that were hyperactive, and the horses were helping with this. And it was just amazing to watch. And I was just enthralled by how the horses were helping the children without even speaking. It was just amazing. And at the end of that weekend, we got to do like an exercise, and they said, just go in front of each horse and talk to them, and then come back and say what you got. And I'm like, yeah, right. I haven't been to Penelope's course yet, so I wouldn't even know where to start. And I remember looking at all the other people, like writing. And I was like, oh, what do I write? I was looking at this horse, and I was like, and then I saw a woman standing next to me with another horse, and she had her eyes closed. So I said, okay, I'm going to close my eyes. So I closed my eyes, and I remember just feeling like as if I had waves inside of me. And I'm like, great, I'm in the desert. Why am I feeling the waves? But, I just, my mind was just going like, okay, let's throw this one out of the window. Then I said, okay, let me try again. And then I saw the ocean, and I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense at all whatsoever. I'm in Tucson, Arizona. And so then I went, okay. So then I closed my eyes for the third time, and I saw the word baby, like B-A-B-Y. And I went, okay. Anyway, go back, and I hadn't written anything. Those were the three words, the three things that I had. And so when it came, my turn came, I was very reluctant to say what I got. But with a bit of, like pushing, I said, okay, I'm going to say it, but then I'm going to run back to Switzerland, and I'm not going to talk to you with everyone because this is just so embarrassing. And when I told them, they said, how did you know? We just discovered that she's pregnant. And the woman there made me realize that I actually had, the first message was on a feeling level. So I'd felt the waves of the, how do you say that in English? The fluid.
Ultrasound.
Like the fluid that's holding the baby, like the amniotic fluid, what do you call it?
Yes.
And then because I didn't tune into that I got another message with the waves and that, and it was like, okay, how big do you want it, right? And then because I didn't get it, it was like, right, okay, let me write it for you. So I got the word baby. And so then, and then there was another incident where we were supposed to paint the horses for a ceremony. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to paint. I was very like, I wasn't strange. So anyway, so I was just stamping my feet. I don't know what to paint. And then she said, well, ask the horse. And I'm like, oh, okay, again. And I got these lines and dots and whatever, I was thinking this is like kindergarten lines and dots and whatever. So I said, oh, well, it doesn't matter. The horse was beautiful, a black stallion. So I just painted this on his side, on his butt, really. And the woman came to me and she said, how did you know? And I'm like, what did I know? She said the ceremony is about the new Mayan glyph, and that is the glyph of the new. And I said, I don't even know what the glyph is, so that got me really excited, because I said, right, that's perfect. I don't know what a glyph is. I didn't know what all the rest was. So when I went to Penelope's, I was like, I'm gonna be really good at this. And guess what? Didn't get one thing. Not for I think it was like 10 days I was there, not one thing. And Penelope kept telling me, if you just have to change your mindset, you can do it. So, and I knew in a way I could do it because I had done it. But no, my head, my mind, my head, my thoughts, what I thought was right, what I thought wasn't right, what I thought I was supposed to receive, I was so strong in my head that it don't know how to put that in the past. But
no, that's perfect. Overrode what you were actually
overrode.
receiving.
Thank you. Yeah, it overrode the because the voice of the intuition is so much more delicate, right? It's a whisper. And so when you have a mind like I had, that was just so overpowering, you can't hear that anymore. And the reason I felt it in the weekend, it was because I wasn't even searching for it. I didn't have any expectation. In fact, I was saying, this is really stupid, right? Come on.
But I need training first, right?
It's
like I feel that in your, like the newbie energy is like, and then your mind, like, which is so panicked, the fight or flight system, the left brain is like, okay, I'm going to code this in. This is how it happens. And then you get to Penelope's and it's like, okay, the left brain's, I'm teaching a course right now for new animal communicators who are naturals, I have to say, but how do you just put it so perfectly?
Yeah.
I want to just take this little snippet and be like, just watch that, because that is the thing that we all struggle with.
That's how you don't do it, right? Because that's the thing, right?
But that's the process. That's how we do it. And then we don't do it for a period and then we do it again. So, okay, here did I go.
That's exactly
your story. Here we go. All right.
And that's exactly what happened, exactly like you said, because then I was like, okay, I can't do this. Yeah. So I didn't do it for years and years and years and years. And there was always that thing about, I'm going to learn animal communication. I got all of the books, I read them, but I was just reading them. And I wasn't, when the exercise came, I wouldn't even do it because I was like, I can't do this. I just can't do it. Just can't do it. And that was the main thing. And some years ago, I don't remember how many, I remember participating in a course that was called Energy Tracker System. So it didn't say on the label, it didn't say animal communication. And I'm just somebody, because I am very intuitive, of course, as we are all, but I just decided I'm going to take this course. I liked the name. I liked the fact that it was animals. I liked, it, but it didn't say animal communication. So again, it bypassed all of my beliefs that I can't do it. And so the first lesson came and it was fantastic. The second lesson came, and then the third lesson, she said, right, so now I'm actually going away on vacation and you guys are going to start doing the readings. And I'm like, the what? The what? What are you talking about? The what? And I was terrified. I said, oh no, this is an animal communication thing. But I was already in it, and then I said, okay, I'm in Switzerland. The course is in the US. I'm going to meet how many people I'm going to meet to do these readings. And I said, I can always hide here. Nobody will know about me. Mm-hmm. And so I took it as a game. And this, I really want to convey this because I just said, I'm going to have fun with it. I'm just going to close my eyes and whatever I see, I'm just going to tell them because I know that I can't do it. So I'm just going to have fun with it, right? And that's where I learned how to communicate with animals. Because the interesting thing was, I can see a cat that's flying over the clouds and it is probably rubbish, right? And the person said, well, yeah, no, my cat just passed away. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah, I can see there's a woman that's going up this mountain, but it seems so easy. I don't know why she's sweated and she's tired and she thinks that she can't do it. I don't know what, and so I was just saying it just like this. And she said, yeah, that's me. I think that everything in life is such a big challenge, so all of the things that I was saying, even the strangest things like cats flying or dogs walking on sticks and things like that.
Or horses in the ocean for that matter.
Yeah. And what I realized was, and I think this was my way of my brain to make it accessible to me, because how I get the communication is in metaphors a lot of the time. So I don't get that thing about, if you ask me, okay, what is your dog? Does he like Red Bull or the Blue Bull? And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. But then I close my eyes and I see like a film. I don't even ask the question. I just close my eyes in meditation. I connect with the dog. Just need to know that it's your dog. And then I get this little clip that I just watch. And then I record it, I write it down, and then when I have the Zoom session, I just say, listen, this is what I got. It's probably, I don't know what, you take it, right? And then from there, everything develops. So I'm now trusting, and that is the thing. I learned to trust. But in order for me to get there, I had to I had to be like, the universe had to help me by saying, no, it's not animal communication.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just so interesting. It's like just really learning to trust our senses again, learning
Yeah,
to trust our sensory body, learning to trust the way in which the animal and here's a big thing that of course I've struggled with along my journey as well. It's like, okay, well, there's all these books, there's all these masters out there, there's all these people that are very visible and very prominent, and we need to study with them, we need to read their books, and it's like that feeds an overactive left brain mind, but it doesn't always feed it the right food.
yeah,
One of my intuitive teachers, Sonia Choquette's always saying, just go play I Wonder, just go play, just go play, just go out in nature, just it's enjoy my years as a songwriter. So often I would get my best song ideas when I was in the shower. It was out
yeah,
on a walk, or I was, in the
yeah.
grocery, when I was completely away from any tools that could help me. In fact, I love the story of Mary Oliver, the poet, talking about how she would go out on these beautiful walks, and then a poem would come to her, and she would run home trying to get there to write it down before the poem got tired of waiting and went along to visit someone else. So it's like
Someone
these
else.
drop-ins, and really trusting that if something drops in, however it happens, and for you it looks like it's these beautiful mini movies, which is wow. It's like it's up to that animal's person to make
Yeah,
meaning from it. We are
yeah,
not. Sometimes it will make sense to us. A lot of times it won't. They'll be like,
yeah,
okay, what were you doing just before this session?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you are
exactly.
just orbiting Mars. It's like, no, this is for you. It's not for me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and then there's always, just like in any conversation, it's not about getting it right. It's not about accuracy. It's about clarity. It's about
hmm,
conversation and going back to the animal. If the animal's person is like, yeah, I don't get that, then it's like, okay, let me go back. Like, I love that the horse gave you three different
yeah,
ways
because
of trying to find which channel is on, right? Okay, the battery's
yeah,
out in that one. She didn't plug the power cord in on
come
that one.
on.
This one,
Yeah,
this verbal channel is open. Oh, thank goodness, And I love that. So here you are, and you're doing the thing, and and I love how you say, let's don't do animal communication. It's like we don't do breathing. We don't do heartbeat. It's not like we're
yeah,
in there monitoring. Okay, did you beat yet? Beat already. It's like, and we luckily the rest of our body tends to pretty reliably monitor our breathing, because it
absolutely,
notices if we
yes,
stop. you
absolutely.
know so
And it's,
so let's talk about this, like the not doing part, and how do you, because here's the next step, right? Because maybe somebody listening to this, and I happen to know there's a few of my students that are listening and taking notes. So it's like,
okay,
how do we get to the point where we do trust, if we want to share this gift with other people and their pets, or their rescue animals, or the wild animals, they're the shelters and the charities, where we can reliably play into it, just be
yeah.
playful. How have you set yourself up there so that you can be helpful when help is needed, is probably the
Yeah.
best way to put it.
So it was funny because my teacher at the time, Ana Maria Vasquez, I would
I
tell her,
love,
Ana,
she's been a guest too, and I love her. Yeah.
so I would say, Ana Maria, I don't even remember in your course the techniques that you told me about how to do animal communication. And she would just laugh because she knew that and so I cannot say any of that. I just went beyond that. And the only thing I know that I can tell you, and that I think is the only missing piece, is that trust, going beyond our limiting beliefs. And that for me was helped by going in a class that I didn't know that it was animal communication, and then just have it right in front of me. And because I'm a doer, what happened when I had that homework, I couldn't say I'm not going to do it. It was like, okay, let me do it. And I just find a way out of it. But the trust, you just have to, it's like a muscle. You just have to, how do you say, exercise it. And the great thing in my situation was that because I had these readings that I was doing, I just, and because I was just playing with it, I'm saying, yeah, right, you know, I saw this happen and that other happen, and yeah, I saw a past life where you must have been, you know, like something.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just, and even with that playful energy, and then when the other people would go like, whoa, yes, and all of that was confirmed, then that helped me. But I remember there was moments where I felt every time I was about to do a reading, I was like, oh, I hate this, you know, I'm playing God, how do I know this? Oh, it's just like, I just really didn't like it. And then I remember reading a beautiful story about, you may know it, Anthony something from South Africa with the elephants. And what happened, he had this, he helped how do you say, he saved these elephants from death, really. And these elephants had a really big connection with him. And what happened was, when he died, the elephants had already started walking towards the house, which I think was 2 or 3 days away. So they knew before he died. And so the day that he died, they arrived in front of his house. And I remember just crying and just saying, I'm still emotional, because I was saying, if the animals, that they cannot talk to us, they can just move their trunks, they can wag their tails, they can bark and meow, and that are going like miles and doing all of these things to get us to know that there's so much more that we need to be aware of. If they're doing it, that I have the power of speech, that I'm a human and I can share this with other humans as well, so much easier. I can even write a book about it. They can't write a book, right? Why am I not doing it? Why am I my little human self that is so small, that says, oh, what if I get it wrong? What if, you know, the elephants, that's why I say I got a kick in the butt from the elephants. Are you going to get out there? Are you going to
big one? Yeah,
a big one. Yeah. And so I just, whenever I need some strength, I think about the elephants, and then I think about all of the other animals that are trying constantly to tell us things, to show us how much more than this body that we are, and we're not listening, we're not hearing, but they keep on. So I'm saying, no, I love animals so much, I want to help them bring this out. So yeah, so I trust. So that's the thing, just trust. Yeah.
And I heard, you know, and I heard a couple of other things too. One is that you mentioned the word meditation, which is a word that sends some people running towards us and other people running away. Because meditation is another one of those very human qualities, very animal qualities, that is so misunderstood. I think it's fairly obvious I have a special affinity for avians. We have a bayou behind my house, and in that bayou every day, like clockwork, comes this blue heron. The blue heron comes in the morning because she is hungry and wants her breakfast, and she will settle down in the bayou and she will stay and she will meditate. And by that, I mean, she stares at the water. She stares at the water. Nothing distracts her. She's quite hungry. She knows there are fish there. She's gotten one before. She is waiting, or frogs, or whatever juicy little tidbit she's waiting. And she's so one-pointed. It's like I'm looking at a samurai with feathers. It's like she's just, it's like that's how, you know, that's how we do anything worth doing in life, is we meditate, we concentrate, we focus, we make a choice, we commit. And so, you know, it's not about, you know, there are different disciplines. Some people like to get in a deep meditative state. Other people can, you know, it's, you know, how noisy is our mind? How in charge does it think it is? Is it possible to meditate in a moment? Absolutely. If you've ever seen a car in front of you stop suddenly, you know how easy it is to bring everything back to home so that you can react instantly and slam on the brakes. So we're not talking about, if you happen to love to meditate, or you happen to have a really busy mind, or you happen to have a day where you are bouncing between lots of different types of activities, it helps to get up and move your body, get back in your body, and focus on the now, in the moment, with the breath, right? But it's like, I love that you had the courage to use that word, because meditation is key. It's because we're arriving. I'm going to participate with you, my fellow animal. I would like to connect. I would like to converse. I'm here, I'm present. I'm not off somewhere else. I'm right here, right now. And I'm open, and I'm humble, and I'm trusting, and I'm willing to receive. It's like we walk up to the, let's say we get lost in our car and we're like, I don't know, there's no street signs. We go into the gas station. We say, I need help. I need direction. We expect, can you show me where we are on the map? We expect that other animal, that other being to respond to us and tell us. And yet we ask an animal, what do you want for breakfast? Or why are you, you don't seem like you have an energy lately. And we think they're not going to tell us, especially when it's in their own best interests. And if there's one thing that we know about our pets, it's they're very good at getting their needs met, and getting, they're very, self-interested in a very lovely, playful, and really cute way. But trust me, if this one here on my shoulder, for those of you who are listening on the streaming, and you can hear the chirping, if he needs something or even wants something and I'm not giving it to him, he will find a way to get me to notice. So, and that feels like I really just want to honor you for just, because it does take bravery in this day of like everything now, instantly, yesterday. And we're, the communicators that are the most accurate. It's like, I don't think I've ever had a conversation with any animal of any species, including my own, where I have walked out of that going, man, I nailed it. The best we can do is maybe repeat back and say, am I understanding you correctly? Is this information really coming from you, the other animal, or is my left brain getting a little too involved in the outcome? But that's the most we can do, because we can only control what we put out there and how we show up. It's up to that other being. It's their free will and their choice if they want to communicate. It doesn't matter what species. Maybe Pearl doesn't want to talk to me. That doesn't happen very often. In fact, he's unusually quiet this morning. But maybe so. It's very instructive to hear such a gentle, non-violent, non-controlling, welcoming invitation to, and the playfulness which animals so appreciate and love. We can be a very dense and heavy vibration to keep company with.
Well, it's the journey. It's actually the journey of taking things away from the things that we know, rather than the opposite. We think that learning animal communication is about learning something or some technique or something. In reality, you don't like meditating, that's fine. Not you in general. Somebody doesn't like meditating. You can sit outside and just contemplation. We've lost that thing. It's like you're lazy, not doing anything, just sitting and contemplating, and allowing the mind to expand and to just have that space. Is we're creating space, basically. That in that spaciousness, then you can feel all of what is happening, because all of this information is coming in always. There's always information, and sometimes that information is present, right? It's always present in the field. And so when we create that space, then we are immersed in the field. When we expand our energy, then we can embrace that space. And now we are that space. And now we are that animal. And so we don't even need to have a conversation like we would have on a 3D level. Hello, this is my name, it's not my name. At that point, you are the animal, and you're feeling, and you're seeing, or you're knowing. That's the one that sometimes we miss, because there's not a clear, if you close your eyes and you see a big something in front of you, then you say, oh, I got a communication. but when you're in that quiet space, even just annoying, but because you're so used to, like you say, to connect with you and feel yourself, and in that quiet space, that wasn't you. You just know it was annoying. So it's just so
Absolutely.
beautiful.
Absolutely. And just realizing that, I love how you said, we can dispense with some of the domesticated pleasantries, if you will, of human to human communication, in the sense that, we're operating on multiple levels and in multiple dimensions, and a lot of information can flow in very quickly, which is why, we don't need hours and hours. Normally, when somebody schedules a longer period of time as a session with me, it's because either there are multiple animals, or it's because that person needs some safe space to express. And a lot of times I find that it's when the animal is in transition or has transitioned, which of course is a big piece why I was so keen to include you in Let's Talk to Animals, because that is a time when the human animal is going to need more nurturing, more face-to-face or voice-to-voice with another human animal who understands and who empathizes. And but the mechanics of receiving information from the animal, as we've been discussing, I mean, if you've got a mechanically oriented mind, we just talked about the mechanics. So go back and listen again as many times as you need to. And to be honest, I listen to my favorite teachings many times. I think I'm on about the 40th iteration of a particular course that I'm taking with one of my coaches. And every single day I get a message, and every single day I hear something new. And so this is the best way to really embed the mechanics on all levels of you, rather than reading one book and like a serial knowledge consumer. It's more like, find one thing you really love and read it again and again and again, or listen again and again and again, and really let it seep into you. And so, with that said, because you and I know we can talk all day long, we could do a 3-hour podcast, and I want to respect the listeners' time. We're like, I didn't sign up for 3. I thought it was usually it's between 38 and 47 minutes, and that's what I signed up for.
Wow.
Let's talk about holding space and creating a pathway through which human animals can participate with their companion animals throughout the end of life process and across the veil, which is, when you sent me your course outline, I was like, whoa, seriously, you have created the most beautiful, comprehensive experience, journey. And in a whole lifetime, in a way, we could never hope to comprehend all the nuances of meaning and experience to be received from shepherding another soul through the transition out of their body. And yet we human animals in particular dislike any kind of pain or painful experience or loss, or it's like, and especially in this culture that we're living in right now, in this time period we're living, where we look at death as a problem to be solved, and if it happens, somebody wasn't doing their job. And so I'd love to hear more about your work, how you came to have this calling and this life. That's how I view it anyway. Maybe that's not how you view it, but it's like an area of focus that is so rich and meaningful and so challenging. And tell us about your course, and tell us about how you work with and even help the human animal, help me understand that I need to do something like this, and do it hopefully well before my Pearl who is watching the wild doves fly by outside on his turf, right? Is that your turf? How, because it does take a unique inner strength and clarity and calm, I would say.
Absolutely. So like you said, the end of life now is kind of treated like a lot of things in our society, which is like a push of a button, meaning the animal is not well, or has a terminal diagnosis, or sometimes even they are getting old. From that moment, you see the first white hair, you start worrying about that, and you change completely your energy. We change it because we start worrying, we focus, you know, that laser focus that you were talking about before in meditation. We use that very well, but we usually use it in fight or flight mode, when we are fearful, or when in bad situations. And what that happens is that we only see that one thing. We see that the animal is not well or something, and then we cannot stop thinking about death. And we know very well that our animals feel us completely. So now, whilst they're going through this winding down, let's put it that way, we're not supporting them because we are so worried about ourselves and how we will miss them, and about, are they suffering? We love them so much, we can't live without them. And if you look deeply, it's all about us. It's not all about us, because we do, the main thing is that we don't want to see our animals suffer. But again, like we were talking about animal communication, to stay present even just for 1 second, we are able to go into that connection where we feel what is truly happening, not what is the beliefs, the conditioning, the society. You don't want to let your pet suffer, and so therefore do the best thing. The problem with us is that we love them so much that to have to make such a decision to effectively end their lives, and just like that, because you take your dog to the vet because your dog has a bad breath, and you think that you're going to clean the teeth, and then they do some checks, blood tests, and it comes back that it's got kidney disease. And all of a sudden, what usually happens is, well, you know, kidney disease, one thing, you can't cure it, thing, euthanasia. So the dog goes in wagging its tail, thinking that it's going to get its teeth cleaned, and yeah, and the
Wow.
problem is the shock for the person as well, not only for the animal but for the person as well. And so my heart goes out to everyone, because I was the worst hysterical, talking about bad energy. I was the number one. So when my cat Rami started not feeling well, I was like, right, I'm going to save you. So I studied everything I could, both the injections of whatever I was giving him, spirulina. I was doing everything that I could possibly do. I even enrolled, and think about it, I know it's a bit embarrassing, but I even enrolled on an energetic course in those moments while my cat was dying, thinking that I could learn how to energetically heal my cat. It was just like absurd. And so whilst I was running around in desperation, Rami, he stayed as long as he could, because he was trying to stay and tell me, hey, just calm down. But he ended up dying. I didn't even see that he was there. Everybody else would have seen that. I was the worst. But because I was so filled with guilt, with sadness, with what do I do without him, and everything, that I remember even when I buried him, I remember I was just so, my heart was just so shattered that I just couldn't do it, and I wanted to dig him back up. I was hysterical. I dug him back up. My boyfriend said, what? Just, calm yourself. But in that moment, that was how I was. So that led me to losing control totally. I lost control. And the great thing about losing control is that you let go of all of the things that you think you should do. Everything. It's like everything that you've tried did not work. So now you're sulking, now you're just stamping your feet, but you're just so exhausted that you just let go of control. And the great thing about that is that that's where something new can come in, because you've made space for it. Right? And then I ended up finding a book by an Italian vet, Stefano Cattinelli, about the end of life and being a vet. He was recounting all of these stories about all of the euthanasias that he did, and he said, I came into this profession because I wanted to save the animals. And then I end up doing, this is my like 60% of what I do is that. And so he had a crisis. And then he found out that when you don't just turn off the light immediately in the moment that you think that you should, but you just are able to look at yourself and allow anything that it wants to come out. There's a healing, because what happens is when the animal is on the journey, and I call it the journey because it's not a day, it's not a two, it's not an appointment, it's not a date and a time, it's a journey. And it starts when you start thinking about the death, not the animal. The animal is fine, they know how to die. They know how to die. The problem is that we are so difficult for us to live those moments. That what I'm helping people do is help them to find that peace to go on this journey. Because then what happens on this journey is that things within yourself start bubbling up, because our animals come in our lives for a reason. And in those moments, you get those insights, you get those things come up, right? And then you get a chance to heal them. And when you heal them, so imagine, so we know that we're made of energy, right? And we are constantly giving out information, invisible information. I may be here smiling right now, but if I have a trauma inside of my energy, Pearl now will feel that. She will feel my overall energy, but she will feel that disturbance of that trauma that I've had as well. You might not, because you're thinking about doing the podcast and you might not be attuned, but I bet you Pearl is, because as an animal, they have those instincts. They need it to survive. Even though they're now living in our houses, they still have to be attuned to all the energies, right? So what happens is they help us get these traumas, these things out, and the disturbance goes away. And because dying is an expansion journey, we expand, and our vibrations raise to meet the vibrations of where we're going. What happens? We are doing the opposite. We let go. We're stressed. We are fearful. We've got traumas, which again restricts the energy. So once you actually are able to release these things and find that peace with the help of the energies of transitions, which are magical, because you are in them, when you're sitting next to your pet, you're in them. And I'm not talking about just the last days. I'm talking about, months, all of that period, right? There's those energies. And so we have this help from an energetic side to heal all of these parts. And then that in turn allows the animal to feel that peace in our energies and allows them to die peacefully. And it's not a matter of whether you do euthanasia or not. That's personal choice. There can be so many ways. But what I'm trying to give the people is the option that there is not just one way. And it doesn't have to be in that specific moment. Like being born takes time, dying takes time. There's a natural process that needs to happen to prepare us energetically and physically. The body's winding down and it's a preparation, but also on an energetic side, we're expanding. On an emotional side, on a mental side, there's so many sides that are going on, but we don't focus, we don't look at that. We just say the animal has this illness, so we're just talking about the body, and the text says that he will last 3 weeks, and so and he will suffer because this is on the text, so I'm going to euthanize before that happens. In my experience, I've never had the need to euthanize anymore, because miracles happen, things happen. My cat that was supposed to die, I say 3 weeks because Shannon was supposed to die in 3 weeks, and he ended up going for 1.5 years. And each time I changed the vets, because I'm like, okay, this vet said 3 weeks, maybe another one says something else. And I would go after a couple of months, and they kept telling me the same thing. He's got, I don't remember what it was, lymphoma or something like that. And they always said, and it's is going to last 3 weeks. And I said, but this was what the other vet said, and it was 2 months ago. So he should be dead, right? Is it not possible that it's something else? Oh, no, 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 no. That's what he has. It will be 3 weeks from now. Okay, so I wait, and then another month, 2 pass by, and Shen is still not well. So I'm like, okay, take him to the third vet. And guess what he said? 3 weeks. Because that's what's on the text, that's what it is. But we are unique. Our pets are unique. Us coming together creates a unique experience. And all these components that are not just the physical, but the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual together create all of this web of different situations. So the 3 weeks can end up being a year and a half. And I'm not saying that this year and a half is of your pet suffering. I'm not saying that. I'm never advocating a pet suffering. We don't want that. But there's so much healing a lot of that is our suffering. But our suffering and our challenges is what helps us grow. And sometimes when and not sometimes, the growth that the challenges is why the growth is why the challenges come. My guides say that the challenge is a realization not yet understood, or you're not yet had. So, and it's so true. So we have a choice to make, and that is like, we know that the end of life is going to happen, but we have a choice to make. How do we want that end of life to be, right? Do we want to keep on supporting them in the frequencies of love, which is what holds our relationship together? Because all of the 20, 30 years or 6 or 7, no matter how long we've been with our pets, what's the base of that relationship? Love, right? All of a sudden, when they need love the most, we don't have the capacity, because, and it's not our fault. The problem is that the society has told us that death is a medical failure, right? That death is to be feared, and all of these things. So we learn about everything in life. We prepare for everything in life. And yet the one certain thing in life we don't prepare for. We kind of wait until it comes upon us. And even when it comes upon us, it's like, no, you're not dying. This 97-year-old man, bed, with cancer, or even in his hair, and the family is still telling him, don't worry, you're not going to die. Doctor, can you please save my father? This is how we've been, as if death is a medical failure. But I've learned from the animals, oh my goodness, that there's this expansion that happens. There's this beauty. They don't fear death. They don't fear that. They wouldn't ask us to for them it's just like a change, but they don't even feel that they are losing the connection with us, because they know that from that expanded state that they are in, they even can connect even deeper with us. It's up to us to tune into that frequency, to keep the radio station, the frequency open. And usually we can only keep it open with the frequencies of love. We cannot keep it open with the frequencies of grief and sadness and guilt, all of those things. So I created this course because I'm really passionate about that. And it's funny because you said that there's a lot of things in there. Well, that's only like a third of it. I had to chop other things off because otherwise I'm gonna watch it.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I don't,
Yeah.
and I would imagine there was also a temptation to just not structure it, because as you just said,
Yeah.
every single experience, every single journey is unique. And so there's so much of a desire for the left brain to kind of latch on to something and go, okay, she said it was going to be this way and this isn't happening that way. And it's like, but go with that. And that's part of the preparation. I mean, the number of times I have talked with my friends about who do you use for car insurance or whatever, like some, boring topic I'm not even that interested in, but I actually have to attend a monthly group called Death Cafe in order to talk about death, because most of the time, if I utter that word,
Oh no,
especially
yeah,
around somebody who has a loved one who is actively journeying through that process, they're like,
yeah,
wow, I think I see someone I know over there. And they're like, they're gone, nobody, it's like, the curiosity factor. I mean, even death can be funny, joyful. And you're right. It's like the closest thing to being able to, have never been, because I tend to get a little motion sick, but those tanks, those water tanks you can get in, where you lay there and it takes all the weight off your muscle. That's why I love to go swimming. You just lay there and like,
yeah.
in the 2 seconds before my body sinks, I'm just experiencing this total weightlessness. And it's like there's a suspension of reality of like the day to day. There's this, you're in this bubble when you're finally giving yourself permission to flow on a different channel,
Yes.
at a different pace, where it feels like both more and much less is happening at the same time. And you are tuning into aspects of being alive that you had no idea even existed.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. And I remember one of my cats, he taught me that really well, because it was after Rami, the second one, because each of my cats and my dogs helped me to get a piece. And at the time I didn't realize it, but whilst I was structuring the course, I went, oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my cat Shan, he again, I didn't know him which stage he was. And by the way, in the course, there's a lot about everything, but one part which I divided in a one-day event is about the stages of dying, so that it helps you to understand what is actually happening to the body, the mind, the emotional side, so that at all times what stage your pet is. Because a lot of time I've seen poor pet parents rush to the vet's office to because they're so worried about their pets, what's happening, and I know that is actually they're like minutes away from dying. Or and the saddest thing is that then for the vet it's so difficult, because they may have to do euthanasia, right, which is putting a thing in the veins, like a needle, sorry. And what happens is, when the body is already going, so the soul is already like in and out anyway. So, but for the vet, it's so difficult, because the system, the blood system, the veins are becoming so thin, and so now you're going through a difficult thing even more, because you're trying to help them, right? And so that's why I really want to help pet parents to know what the stages they are, and they always have the possibility to decide at any moment I'm going to euthanize, because that's always a possibility. So but it gives them the empowerment of knowing what is happening, and also when you know what's happening, you're less fearful as well, right? And so my cat Shen, he was outside one day, and I went and I was having a really bad day, like really bad day, right? Really bad day. So I knew that I had to change my energy before I went to him. But no matter what I did, I just could not. It was just like, so I was trying to hold on to good energy, but I didn't. And then I arrived there, and I arrived like a few meters away from him, and he was outside. All of a sudden, I sat down next to him, and all of a sudden I felt this peace that I'd never felt in my entire life. And I knew that there was something going on, because I was like, whoa, wait a second, this is impossible. So the first time I thought, well, maybe I'm so happy to see Shan and be with Shan, and I'm so in love with my Shan, that maybe that was what caused it. Go away, come back the next day, same thing. And I was like, whoa, this is really strange, because it was a peace I had. Even with my longest hours of meditation, I could not get to that space, I tell you. And then I remember just picking him up, and I was so emotional that I even cried at that moment. And I looked into his blue eyes, and all of a sudden I was transported. And I knew I was him. So I was looking at a very emaciated body because he was dying, right? And I thought, oh, he's probably also suffering. Right? Well, I tell you, all of a sudden I knew with all the certainty that I cannot tell you in scientific terms how, but I just had that knowing that is beyond me, that he was perfectly well. There was a love, again, that I had never felt. In my wildest dreams, I had not felt a love like that. And I was just so, and then other things happened, more of a mystical thing happened. But even without going into the detail, I tell you, the love and the peace that I felt in those moments came from the energies of transitions that are happening in those moments. The problem is that when we are worried, and like I was with Rami, and I was, then I wasn't in the right, I wasn't tuning into the right frequency, so I could not feel them. So my goodbye with Rami was I just gave him all of my and with all the other cats and dogs afterwards, I know that our goodbyes were filled with a love that was like, it was so beautiful. And this can be done. It's not just it didn't happen with a lot of clients go through that. And even my mom went through that when her Great Dane died. So it is possible. It is possible to do that. Of course, again, it's not a push of a button, right? It's we have to say, no, I know that there's something more than the physical, because what happens now is that we only focus on the physical. So if you just open up and expand to seeing all of the sides of dying, then you can see a beauty that is rarely seen in these moments.
It feels like, I know.
Where's my breakfast?
I know. Oh, well, he's not usually this quiet and calm, and he's definitely giving me a lot of love and support, because of course, as you and I are chatting, I'm feeling I'm trying all this on for size, and because he's 23, and I regularly encounter people that say, oh my God, I had no idea they could live this long. Well, you and I talked previously, and we shared, you have your Rami story, and I had, those of you who are listening can see air quotes, because it certainly is much more than a Rami story, and I have my Jacob story, and the same deal, howling behind the fence as I bury him, and then having to go to work and face an office that are like, you were late because your bird died. Like, it's just a pet. Like, it's like, and so there's so much more taking a journey, having an experience like this, where, as you were speaking, I saw an inner mini movie, if you will, of the old days, the good old days, before the Twin Towers, when we were still allowed to walk our people all the way up to the gate at the airline.
Yes.
And saw this image of this, and with the knowing that this is as close as we can come to that experience. It's an option. It's available to us. We can actually have a preview, if you will, that can greatly ease our own fears of our own passing and our human loved ones, and also alleviate questions we have about our animal, and are they suffering? I saw with my father how often he was really, his spirit was practicing his spirit, and that's what it's like with birds, and they're practicing for their migration. They're building up their muscles. They're flapping. They're doing all the thing. And he would be talking to people on the other side. He would come back. He would be, I could feel the ebb and the flow of energy. I think it was so different than what my mind had presented to me as all the possible options. And it was more expanded, and it was gentler. I mean, there were fierce moments, but it was gentler, and it was inclusive of everyone's needs. It was very unconditionally loving. How it happened, and the fact that nobody understood how he stayed on for 10 days and with no real hydration, no real food. it was a miracle. There we had nurses pushing us to start feeding him again. It was like there was so much in that, and having to go so much deeper and trusting from such a different place to end up with what we can only call really, in the Buddhist tradition, they call it a good death, which that is something to aspire to. It is something possible. It's something to set your cap for, and it is truly worth living for, to have an experience like
no,
that.
absolutely.
And
it keeps the connection on. It keeps the connection. Yeah.
And I have never, my connection with my father has never been broken. Like, he is no longer here. And there are moments when the part of me, I'm like, damn it, Dad, I'm sorry about that. I really miss you right now. I miss you, and really, I miss your body. I miss being able to interact with you on this plane, because I can't really go there yet for any sustained amount of time. The one time I brought him through in a mediumship course, it was extremely distressing for our entire family, so there's but it's like, anybody that's, it's like, we need experiences to prepare. It's not that you have to go tell everybody that, hey, I signed up for this course on, pet death, or however you want to say it, that kind of, dumbs down, if you will, the experience that you have, your soul wants to have while embodied. But you don't have to tell anybody. You don't even have to, tell yourself if you don't want to. It's like, I wish there was something like this, for each human spirit, and that it was more integrated into the fabric. Because truly, when we're aware that our time here in these bodies is finite, we live much better. That's so lame way of saying it, but it's like we live in a way that every moment is a meditation. Every moment is precious. It's like, and I guess, for me with this one right here, who's 23 years young. Yes. Yeah. We were going for oldest lived cockatiel, which would be well into the 30s, or immortal. I prefer option B.
Yes.
Which might present some logistical challenges for me, right?
No, well, he is immortal, and that's the thing.
He is immortal.
He is immortal. We are immortal. We are so much more than our bodies, and we just always focus both on our body and their bodies. It's like when their bodies go, but what happens to the rest? We are not our bodies.
Exactly. Right? And just realizing that there are so many other possible ways to experience this transition. And also, he's pushing me, just like Rami and Shen in your life. For my mom, it was her soul dog, JP Morgan. Jacob really started pushing me down this path, it's like, we wouldn't even go there. Like, we wouldn't even think about it. But here's this animal that we love so much, or another human animal that we love so much. And all of a sudden it's like, we can't help it because we don't think we're going to survive their death. So it's like, oh, that's a paradox. Like, wait a minute, how, it's like, and so there's this part of us is like, well, I don't want to go on without them. And then there's but I'm not going to survive them. And that's a problem too. And it's like, all of which to say, we're definitely at time here as far as our listener attention span, I think. But
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I mean, there's just, it's like, isn't it refreshing and wonderful? And, listeners and watchers who are still with us, isn't it refreshing and wonderful to have these conversations? Doesn't it feel like there's this part of us that hasn't been breathing for the balance of our lifetime that suddenly is taking deep, refreshing breaths, You're like, oh, thank goodness, somebody mentioned the enormous bellowing elephant in the room that keeps charging through the china cabinet, You
mentioned Monique, the Buddhist. You mentioned the Buddhist tradition, and they contemplate death every single day. And the Buddhist monks, they prepare for death for all of their life, in their lives.
And there's a process.
And then compare it to what we do. We kind of like run away from it.
Or we just And just look for reasons that it might have been medical malpractice, or just, it's like, it's an item on our to-do list. I've gotten too busy to take the time to care for my animal or to care for my human. And therefore, and just, kind of almost also forgetting to ask the other being, the animal or the human animal, what do you want?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, because that is such a big part. That is such a
Yeah.
big part. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
What do you want?
Yeah,
I know.
it is their life, right?
It is their
But
life.
we have this, I'm gonna say, so it's a harsh word, but we have this arrogance to think that we know better about everything. The reality is that we are just focusing on the body, and the animals are still very much connected to the flow of life, which is all comprehensive of everything, right? Of the emotional and mental and spiritual and all that going on. So, but we have the arrogance to think that we know more, and it happened with me. This was a journey. It didn't start yesterday. It started many years ago. And each path, I thought, oh, I've got it. Click, I've got it. And then an animal would come in and go like, hey, what about this thing? And what about, and so I go like, oh, and now I realize there isn't a recipe. There isn't and that's why it took me so long to create this course. And I'm still feeling restricted by the, but you know what? I'm happy because I added personal time with me as well, because I feel, and then after each session, I want Q&A like forever, to the people's heart's content, because it is like you said, there has to be a support. There's no right or wrong with anything in life, and I'm there to support you guys in that, because I know how hard it is to pull your hair out because your little one is, and have your heart shattered because
and then to face no support from your own community, or very little,
no, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
I would go on another hour, so I'm not even going to start that conversation.
Right. Well, that would be that would be our follow-up podcast, which we certainly do need to chat about. But for now, and it sounds like this first launch will be something that may have already happened by the time this podcast airs. However, I feel confident that there will be either a virtual version or future offerings.
Absolutely. And this is my pilot, and in fact I'm offering it for a special price because of that, but it will help me to see what works, what really, and if the flow works and everything. So I'm going to get a lot of feedback from that, and then I'm going to make it in a way that it's helpful. And right now, because of course, in the 3D we have so much to do, right? So what I'm trying to say is that this is the first course that I've created, but out of that I'm going to be able to make smaller little portions that are bite-sized, for all scenarios and all situations right now, because everybody's saying, yeah, but I need this and I need, just a second.
Or I'm in this part of the process, and it's like, I feel like I can't rewind there because I'm right here and this is happening now. And it's like, so it's like death is a big topic.
No, it is. But I do, like you said, I really do, the sooner we start, the better it is. Right? Because this is not a switch of a button. When you are already in and you're stressed out about it, there's a lot of help that can come, like I said, from the side of knowing what's happening and the support and help in remaining centers and all of that. But at the same time, I have students now that are on because they just had a pet that passed, and they know they don't want to live that anymore. And it's beautiful because now we have all of the time to just allow things to happen. And by the way, we never know when it happens. And I have another student, bless her heart, and she said, do you think that me signing up for this course will like make it happen? And I'm like, no, bless your heart.
There is that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, I would say, it's like, it's a really courageous act to say, I'm going to learn about, and I even say her about death, because it's time to start bringing back death into the sacredness of death back into our lives. Once upon a time, we used to accompany our people, our loved ones, to the end of life Now, even in the human world, it's completely different. So there needs to be a comeback in that, right? And that brings peace both to the dying and to the living. And it also helps us to live, like you say, a better life in between, because all of these expansion, your expansion allows you to live other challenges in life in a different way. Completely.
Absolutely.
So our pets are amazing teachers, and my heart just opens up with love in what they do for us. So yeah, so at any time this course is good. In fact,
it's a good choice. It's always a good choice, and it's another experience that we can have with our animals. And it's in many respects it's the biggest gift that our animals have to give us, that we just have to say, yes, I want this gift. I want even more gifts from you. And on that note, I did not even say it at the beginning because we just jumped right in. Monique Brignoni, MoniqueBrignoni.com is your website. I'm spelling that out for people that are just listening. Also put it in the show notes. Lots more to come. I have no doubt we'll do a follow-up podcast. Sometimes we do that when there's this much to talk about. And you have a profoundly calming impact on this one.
Yes.
So we and I'm sure the listeners and the viewers thank you, because they have not had to try to listen to the information in and amidst the overly pumped up volume of the soundtrack, right? So thank you all of you for listening, for watching. Of course, you can always find me, and more importantly, Pearl and my tortoise Maltese and Flash Gordon, our dachshund, at animallovelanguages.com, MoniqueBrignoni.com. I will put all of this information in the show notes. Monique, thank you so much for just sharing your unique and special calling, and for persevering and committing to the journey. It's been magical having you on the show this morning. And those of you who are listening and watching, we welcome comments, we welcome feedback, we welcome questions. If you have a specific topic, especially around the end of life process or journey or experience, and you want us to talk more about it, let us know. Obviously, the two of us have no trouble.
Yes, if you do, please let me know. Because this is such a hard.
Happy to reprise, yeah.
It's like that. No, I don't want to talk about it.
I know. It's like, no,
please help me out.
Exactly. Seriously, I think I need help, because there are very few manuals. So anyway, on that note, thank you again for watching, for listening, for tuning in. If you love our podcast, please give us 5 stars. Please consider sharing with your friends, with your family, with your interspecies family. As the word gets out, we have even more inspiration and encouragement to keep going and keep sharing different topics with you, and reaching out into the vast the universe of everything that's possible between human animals and non-human animals, and how we can work to elevate our consciousness and heal the planet we're living on, which is really the ultimate goal. So thank you again, and look forward to welcoming you again next week with a fresh new podcast and a vlogcast, and lots more to come. Okay. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.